Hi, this is State Representative Stan Saylor. We're sitting here today at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. And with me today is our Secretary of Agriculture, Russell Redding.
Representative, welcome. Great to see you. Welcome back.
Mr. Secretary, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Let me start off with, this show will be on my website and maybe on TV as well, but probably some of the people won't see it till after the farm show. So give some people the highlights of the farm show this year, if you would.
Yeah. So being the 100th, we really took seriously sort of compressing 100 years of history of both the complex, the events of Farm Show, but also you couldn't do that without talking about agriculture. So we really put a lot of emphasis on history. You'll see that throughout the complex and history walls in a condensed form. But really also wanted to sort of look forward. That's the real value of the Farm Show, to say what's new and what are you doing. We're in an area right now that sort of captures that through a farm to shelf. You and I spend a lot of time talking about food and agriculture and preservation and the issues and all of that. Well, how does that come together? So we've taken this sort of concept of production through a process of adding value to product to a shelf, right? We've done that with 4 products: dairy, apples, pork, and potatoes. All great Pennsylvania staples, right? So your viewers are going to see that really as a focal point. We've done some other things here to make that connection more obvious between producers and consumers. We think that's the real value of the show. 2% of our population is directly involved in production agriculture. When this first show occurred 100 years ago, nearly 50% of our population was involved in production agriculture. So think about what you've got to do to really connect people. That's what this show is doing.
Great. And we're going to come back to the farm show in a minute, but I have another question for you. A lot of people today, when they think about agriculture, think about food. That's the first thing they tend to think of. And we have a lot of Pennsylvanians who've never been on a farm and everything else. Could you talk a little bit about what jobs are there in agriculture? It's not just farmers, but what are other jobs that are in agriculture that people may want to pursue at some point?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it, because we do that here throughout the complex of trying to present the jobs, and you'll see a special emphasis on careers this year, right? But we know that we've got a major industry in Pennsylvania. We spent a lot of money sort of preserving it and working in ag science and technology and extension. But we also have to understand that there's a human capital piece to this, right? We need people to step into the farms and continue to be the farmers, for sure, protect your base. But when you look at all of the jobs, 500,000 jobs in Pennsylvania that are from farm to retail, that are agriculture. How many students in high school really know that? Not very many, right? So they think of agriculture, they think of farming. That's a key part. But what about engineers? What about the food service, the science, conservation, all of that? So we really want to put an emphasis on that. You're going to see it both in the department and shows. You're forecasting a little bit of what we see as a key part of the 2017 Farm Show. We really want to look at jobs, and where are they? And how does one become sort of the farmer or the secretary?
Well, Pennsylvania, our #1 industry is agriculture. And I think so many people miss the idea that, you have veterinarians, and we have veterinarians who handle the large animals to veterinarians who handle what everybody knows as cats and dogs, the small animals. And so many jobs. I mean, I don't know in Pennsylvania, Mr. Secretary, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if we do, we don't really grow cotton here, but a lot of people forget that a lot of the clothing we wear is also agriculture. It's products of that, and we don't do a lot of that here in Pennsylvania necessarily. But coming back to the farm show a little bit, there's a great deal of things to see here. Equipment dealers, things that I knew. I just talked to a native Yorktownian who was bringing his grandchildren here today to see what goes on. If you were, next year, if you're looking at this video and trying to decide whether you want to come to the farm show if you've never been here, what would you say that people here, coming here, would learn or experience as such?
Right, so experience is the key word. It's part of our theme this year. We think it's the one thing over 100 years that everybody sort of talks about their farm show experience. We really believe that if you're coming into the show, I would just say to folks, if you're interested in food, if you're interested in the environment, if you're interested in really understanding sort of the landscape of Pennsylvania, come to the farm show. You're going to touch that through the exhibits that are here. You're going to meet people every day who hustle to make that food possible. You're going to meet our local leaders who help protect that and support it in so many ways. So when you step into the farm show, think of it as a 23-acre classroom. And what can I learn, right? You're going to walk away with more knowledge about food and agriculture in Pennsylvania than when you came in.
I think it's a great thing for kids to come to the farm show because there's, not only there's a rodeo that takes place here, there's a number of displays. I've always was fascinated by the sheep what's it called? The
Sheep to shawl.
Sheep to shawl. Yeah, I mean where people take the sheep, shave them down, and create a shawl from the wool that's on them. And I think those are fascinating things, along with seeing all the animals from horses and everything else that's here today. The future of agriculture in Pennsylvania, where do you see us going? And what do you see the challenges that we face in Pennsylvania?
Well, I think one of our real strengths is our diversity. And I'm so glad that we have a lot of small farms. You put them all together, you put those 60,000 farms together across 7.7 million acres, and I'm amazed every day of what's produced here and real important products, right? Versus some other states that are really one or two commodities. That is not Pennsylvania, and I think that's a great strength for us. So I see that as really important to us. We want to protect that, want to grow that piece of it. The challenges on the horizon are things that deal with the trust that the public has in our food system, right? We need to protect that. There are issues around the environment in the Chesapeake Bay, which you and I have spent a lot of time thinking about. That is there. It's important not to let it overshadow, but it's there. We need to work on it. We know we've got issues around technology, both the deployment of and making sure that the public understands why we're using those products or adapting certain technologies to farm. All of that's part of the challenge, but we've been on a path of change for 100 years, demonstrated by this farm show. We'll persevere.
In the closing minutes here, let's talk about the food here. It's quite amazing. I mean, It's nothing like this. I don't know why, but it's just fantastic. Everybody talks about the farm show and food. What's your favorite food here, and what are some of the things you really like to make sure you eat when you come out here to the farm show?
Well, I've discovered that why there are 8 days to farm show, right? By the time you work your way around the food court, and every stop is a pleasurable one, right? You just have to decide on today what it is you want to eat. But there's a couple of really great products in the food court. One, back in the honey area, you can get the fresh honey, of course, and I like that as part of cereal and just good raw honey. But they make a wonderful waffle with honey ice cream with a little bit of cinnamon. You want to try it, but you want to take somebody with you because you're not going to eat it all yourself. That's one. The milkshakes, they are an institution here. A new milkshake this year that first time in 60 years. So go try the new strawberry cream milkshake, a great treat.
It's amazing when you come out here. Even I grew up on a farm in York County. It is just amazing as to the things and experiences you can see here. And of course, I haven't lived on a farm for a number of years, but it's also great to renew and see the new technology that's going on in agriculture.
It's really, it's a positive story. It's a great story for Pennsylvania, right? To both have a state show that the legislature and the governor supports for 100 years, right? The department hosts this thing, but I say to everybody, this is a state-sanctioned show. So our forefathers saw the real value of bringing people together in a marketplace and then presenting that. We have the benefit of having to show that now in a contemporary time where there's more consumers than there are producers. But every bit as important today economically as it was in 1916.
Great. Mr. Secretary, thank you
Pleasure.
so much.
Thanks for all your good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your hard work.